My prediction, and we're going into spoiler territory a little bit here, but my prediction is that she was Ares. Like going into it, like I thought she would have been Ares, and that would have been awesome.
That would have been a cool twist. I didn't even think about that. That would have been amazing.
Because then she's masterminding. She's basically pitting an entire nation's army against Wonder Woman, and that's so manipulative and warlike. It would have just been perfect.
We're in spoiler territory now.
Yeah, this is a total spoiler territory.
If she herself was, instead of like just throwing mustard gas out and was throwing that stuff she was giving that general dude,
the super gas serum,
like that was building
like
up
after
war.
the reveal, that would have been cool. Yeah,
and then like empowering her, that would have been really cool.
Like, why the heck wasn't she using it?
And what was the purpose of it?
Well, it was a plot device for the guy who Wonder Woman thought was Ares to be able to fight on her level because she is OP. But I like the idea of if they would have went with the Dr. Poison thing, and her using it to also get other people being more warlike, you know, like they're all hopped up on this stuff, and then it would give like a reason to her like chemical warfare background as well. Like that would have been a little bit better writing, I think.
And it would have been good to go with that as opposed to just the canon. Like oh, it's just better mustard gas, because that was like one of the worst things to come out of World War One.
Yeah.
So it's like she's making more dangerous mustard gas, and that's.
I think we should. But we're like right at the end at this point. We should maybe like we haven't even talked about Themyscira.
But I did want to say, like, it's interesting that we were like, oh, I'm glad it wasn't a female villain because that's corny. But that was so cool that I would have been completely okay with that.
It's true. I think it's because in the past when we have these bad female superhero movies, we have bad
fights.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to feel like they have to have a female villain for a female hero. Like that's like sexist move in itself, you know what I'm saying? Just like do what's best for the character. In some cases that is a female villain, in some cases it's a male.
Y'all had talked earlier about that Dr. Poison was underutilized. I also felt that Steve's secretary was highly underutilized. I wanted to see more of her. We basically got to see her in the an introduction scene, the makeover scene, and not really a whole lot after that. And she was so good.
It's what we got from the trailers.
And why would, and spoilers now, why would Ares put her on point for the mission? Like, it's some of the things are weird. It's like they just cross these people's paths so they connect. But you know, like Ares appoints her to be in the room to accept all the calls. Is it just to keep an eye on them? Maybe
keep an eye on them. She was also kind of like a bumbling type character.
Yes, he may have completely underestimated her.
But I was a fan of her as well. I thought she was really adorable and charming, and that the scenes that she was in really worked and were funny.
I just think it's a shame all we got from the trailer is basically all we got of her.
Yeah, for sure. Like, she was almost there for, like, the dress-up scene. Another thing I wanted to point out and show love for in this movie was that there was great care taken in the editing of this film to not hypersexualize Diana. The way that her costume is, it's very short, but really there's one crotch shot in the entire movie, and it's when she does like a full spinning air kick. I believe they put it in the trailer, which is a little unnecessary, but I appreciated that a lot. It wasn't like a bunch of butt shots and boob shots for the most part. Like, they went well out of their way to make sure it just wasn't upskirts the whole time, and I think that that's wonderful in a movie like this.
Because they could have easily gone that route of hypersexualizing her, and the fact that they didn't is very good, and maybe something to do with the fact that Patty Jenkins, female director, different perspective, probably helped that.
Yes.
You'd want to talk about Themyscira a little bit, Tom.
Well, I mean, the movie, we see baby Diana, so that was cool. I was always a fan of her origin story with the molded clay, and it was cool that they went with that, and that they had the reveal later that kind of, you know, went over to, like, New 52 territory, which was interesting. I like the origin. I thought was fun. I thought as an origin movie, the pacing of it was really good. It wasn't like they got their power right away in Act 1, and then they're doing all this stuff, and then they're saving the world by Act 3. It was like a slow, gradual burn. Maybe a little bit too slow, but some of it was, like, I don't want to, the visualizations though, on Themyscira were very jarring.
Well, yeah, this might be a good time to get into, like, the CGI aspect of this movie, because that was very disappointing to me. I think this movie's CGI was kind of a mess. Like, I can see now why BVS is so dark. And when they lightened things up, I feel like you could see that the whole movie was, like, blurry.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel that way as well?
Yes, every little, like, CGI moment stood out like a sore thumb to me, and I never had noticed it that bad in a modern movie before today.
And part of it was, like, anytime they had her doing, like, really high, crazy amounts of action, it would be her being CGI. The kind of stuff that you couldn't do stunt-wise. Like, she couldn't replicate, or they couldn't have a stunt double do.
And I know she was pregnant for half of this, and they did have, like, a green screen on her belly for that.
I never noticed that.
And they did a fantastic for that. But I don't understand why all of the sets have to be green screen. Like, whenever we see promotion shots, it's always green screen in the background. And like I was saying with the Themyscira scene, like, they did, like, some cool horse stunts, but they're always
some really cool horse stunts.
They were always sandwiched between, like, these ridiculous, and the slow motion, like, every 10 seconds.
Yes, there was way too much slow motion action where it wasn't used poignantly. Like, if you use it sparingly, then it has a meaning to it. But when you use it for every action scene,
and weirdly timed for some of it,
yeah, it's just like, okay, why are we going into slow-mo? I don't understand the purpose.
And it's like slow-mo, regular in one fight scene.
Yeah, it was like 300 condensed into one little scene. Like, that's what it felt like.
At least they didn't do the jump cut from slow-mo to really, really fast-mo. Because some movies do that, and it's even more jarring.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that, you know, they didn't go too crazy with it. Because it could have gone worse.
Yeah, I liked the basic idea of how they brought Steve into her world and tying in the World War I theme. Like, his ship goes too far and kind of passes this invisible barrier and ends up in Themyscira, and some other soldiers from the German side follow him in, and they're exposed to, like, war, and it turns into, like, I would say, like, one of the better fight scenes in the movie with the Amazons, and that's how it gets the connection to Ares. Like, I thought that was clever, like, bringing the war to her in that manner, but I had a hard time with, like, the romance stuff.
Felt unnecessary. I understand it's the character. But.
Going back to, like, the whole Ares obsession, like, I thought that it was interesting that she kind of had, like, almost an innocent perspective on, like, our world with, like, she had this one-track objective of, I've got to kill Ares, I've got to figure this out, and then, like, she thinks she's killed him, and then it turned out to be that other guy, which I saw coming. It's like, okay, there's no way this dude is totally, like, legit a good person. Like, there's, like, too many convenient elements with his character, and
the casting was a little on the nose, because we usually when somebody's cast from Harry Potter, something's up.
Yeah.
Like, I've realized.
Anytime, like, especially when we have, like, the Trevor's Band is, like, a bunch of people we've never seen before and things like that.
Yeah.
So when they cast people that we recognize as actors, we know they have impact on the story somehow. And pulling someone from Harry Potter to just be some random bureaucrat that's like, well, I'll help you out a little bit.
Here's some money.
Yeah. That's not happening. That's not, no.
But I did think him coming into her world was a little more effective than the very beginning of her coming into the real world.
Yeah.
Because then we started to hit some problems.
I wouldn't say the very beginning. The boat ride out,
when she starts assimilating into meeting other people.
Yeah.
Because they did a lot of, and we've discussed amongst ourselves about this, a lot of complimenting how beautiful Gal Gadot is, and she is in fact extremely beautiful, and I could not agree more. But did they really need to say it so much in the movie?
It's almost
every
like
character, like, more than once said it.
And it was almost like every time someone new met her, they had to mention it. It wasn't everyone, but it was enough that we noticed it.
Did it feel almost to you? Remember, like, right after that whole, like, action sequence, the tower, and everyone's just kind of gawking around her, that they're more just like enraptured than thankful. Like no one's like actually going thank you. They're just like slack jaw.
Well, I mean, she did just make a tower collapse and walk out
yeah,
of
but
it.
it didn't feel like when people are doing like watching Superman, like people are in awe because look at this hero doing these amazing feats. They were very like, look at this hot chick doing stuff.
We're also way less superstitious in the modern era than we were in World War One.
Still, but that feels like a cop out.
Yeah.
Like, don't use that as an excuse to have a time period.
There's different ways to convey that same idea that people are so enamored with her looks that they have to compliment her. Like, you don't have to literally have the character say it. You can show it with...
You could do it silently.
Silently with the eyes, or with them trying to talk to her but stumbling through their speech. I felt that would have been a better choice to go with than like, you're so beautiful.
I felt Fez band member did the best job of doing that.
Yes.
Because he tried to impress her by using his linguistic skills, and then she's just countering it each time, and he's just like, oh.
Because at least that gave her like a moment to be something other than pretty.
Yeah.
And it gave him interest in other than something pretty. He's like, oh, she's really smart. You know what I mean? Like, that helped. But at the same time, as much as I love the language thing, it was super convenient that Dr. Poison wrote her thing. Like, in
that was.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff was a little ridiculous.
Oh, I can read this. Oh, well, let the pretty one read this then.
Oh, now she's...
Now you can help, sweetie.
Yeah.
I also don't like that he kept referring to her as distracting. Something just rubbed me the wrong way about that.
It's super prevalent in like World War One military culture, though.
It's super prevalent in high school.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, like in military, especially British military culture, because they weren't really letting women be involved in warfare. America was allowing that to happen more than European countries were, because we started our nation's military with guerrilla tactics, so we're just like, commonalities of warfare, who cares about that crap?
I guess like my biggest complaint is going to be that like if you're targeting women as your audience for this and you're trying to make a big deal about how like this is so empowered and feminine and like making a statement in that way, like don't use this setting as an excuse to do sexist things and then give her no moment to shine through them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if there was like a lesson learned, or if they really like did something to like have her overcome the everyone's just seeing her as a distraction thing and stuff, like that would be one thing, but they just kind of used it in the movie casually and then didn't do anything with it.
Well, I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the setting in general didn't really feel like, except for the trench warfare and the costumes, didn't really feel like World War One. It could have easily been World War II, which I think in the comic book that is her actual origin. They make a couple of references to women's suffrage at the time, but it felt like a very generic setting. It didn't really feel like World War One, whereas in Captain America: The First Avenger, which this movie has a lot of parallels with, we can't deny that, that really felt like World War II. This one just felt like very European generic time period.
And the reason for that is not only in World War II did we have the propaganda, which is a big like staple of that time period, but it had some good uses of montages. I know Captain America is not their favorite Marvel film, but as an Americana war piece, it is very successful.
A lot.
And you get to see, like, we saw three. We saw 3 fights throughout the whole thing, pretty much. And the alley bullet scene was one of the coolest scenes of the whole thing.
And I love that trailer. I love the moment they don't show in the trailer after she stops the bullet, and all the German spies are like, what just happened?
Yeah, but
like it's like their brains freaking broke because physics shouldn't work that way.
Yeah.
Which would be reality, you know what I mean? Which is cool.
Yeah.
But
I liked the lasso.
Yes. Oh my god, that was like the coolest link to what Wonder Woman is as like her tools and how she fights and stuff. The rope, the lasso, whatever you want to call it, was awesome. It was so well used in this film.
I liked it the best in the very first interrogation scene.
Why is it so hot?
And he did a great job.
Yeah.
Like, I believed him. He was good.
Like, in his face, you could see him forcing himself to try and resist this.
Yes.
But it's just coming out easily. It's like verbal vomit. He's just like...
Because I think they even said, like, the more that he resisted all.
Yeah.
They had some other equipment choices. I don't know why everyone's a lot of people are complaining that Wonder Woman's costume is not American enough. Which
She's
is
not
ridiculous.
American.
She's not American. The only reason she has Star Spangled like costume is because she was like chosen as an ambassador of Themyscira to America.
Yep.
And so she chose those colors. That's not the origin story here. So I think the costume looks great. I like that they do the kind of like Xena skirt on it, as opposed to just like the little underoos.
Yep. Which I think that's also a relatively modern adaptation of the design.
And it's in the New 52 and stuff like that. Has that?
I think the animated series did that at one point as well. I don't remember.
I know for sure in the movies they have that. I wish they gave I might have missed it in Batman vs Superman, but I feel like I didn't. I wish they explained the bracers a little bit more.
That they're made from Athena's shield.
Exactly, because like that's kind of made it like seems like that's her ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To just do that like for some reason, but it is purely the bracers.
Well, to be fair, like someone else may not be able to utilize that the way that she does because she is a god. She may be the only one that could do the kaboom.
But as someone who doesn't have like all of the background information about Wonder Woman, just what I may have seen in a few episodes here and there over the course of my childhood, I would have definitely easily thought that would, like when she does this and that shockwave goes by, that was just her innate power and had nothing to do with the bracers.
Because everyone also in the movie just gives her this look like, oh my god, you're a monster when she does that. And she freaks out and all that jazz. So.
I mean, it's a combination because, like, in the comic books, like, we were just watching, like, a recap before, like, it's a combination of her strength and, like, the material, like anything else. Thor's strength plus his hammer, you know what I mean, equals the result.
She does seem to develop more superpowers throughout the movie.
Exactly.
Which I think this is a good time to, like, jump ahead, because I know we do got to wrap it up soon. What about the lightning stuff, guys, in the big fight?
Yeah, the ending fight with Ares where it seemed like she had everyone's powers from mythology, that felt like a little much to me. Like, okay, like I know Zeus is your dad, but like you didn't have these lightning powers before, how'd you get them?
Well, it was mostly lightning that he was channeling at her.
Which, that bothered me more, because why is Ares, like, using lightning abilities?
The quickening.
There's, like, briefly, I was happy. Like, it was very brief. I was happy with what they, like, finally, he had, like, I'm not thrilled about the little scraps. Like, I think you said, like, if it was more like a war tech.
Yeah, it's like his armor was, like, patched on.
Yeah, instead of just, like, whatever was on the ground, that would have been cooler. But for a brief second, I was like, oh, finally, he's here. But then he just looked like a cartoon for the rest.
The CGI was particularly
so bad.
You made a really good point. Is Doomsday stronger than a god? Because that gave her more trouble.
It took her, Superman, and this rich guy to take out Doomsday, and I mean that was like a lot. Like if she's only gotten stronger since fighting Ares,
100 years is fast.
100 years, and I'm sure she hasn't done stuff everywhere because then people would know about her.
Hope enough for sequels.
You're right. I mean, she has fought the things not of this world before, but. If she's only gotten stronger since, and Superman is incredibly strong as well, then why was it not one of them just soloing Doomsday and just dropping him like a fly? She should have been able to just wipe him out.
Yeah.
If he's not, if he's stronger than a god, that's the problem.
Maybe it's because she didn't have the photo, and now she finally has.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Worst
part.
First off, let's just get like. How Ares is defeated is like the bad ending to Scott Pilgrim.
Yes.
And then again, a bit of Captain America.
Well, yeah, I'm just talking in general.
We're trying to avoid all the parallels here.
Well, okay.
Well, they
didn't avoid all the parallels here. Unfortunately, that was the most glaring one. It was literally.
That's like when Vanilla Ice said, well, we added an extra note to Under Pressure.
Ding, yeah.
Under Pressure. Now it's a new song, guys. He went a different direction. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Her whole bursting out of the tank tread thing was like, if she was going to beat him, and if her whole speech was going to be about love, which if she was the daughter of Cupid or you know what I mean, like that would have made more sense. And it was like justice, I could have bought that. Or even if she was just like, there should be no war, there should only be compassion. That would have been a stronger thing. But because her boyfriend just died doing the exact same thing Captain America did, trying to drop off these bombs that are going to go hit Europe, and he just flies the plane up instead of into the water, and his name's Steve. Like, if they said something about dancing, it would have been over. And why does DC keep doing this thing where they like to insult our intelligence and have to replay the scene they just showed us?
Yes, that was so annoying. Like, even though they give you, like, well, now you get to hear the real audio. Smart audiences can make an inference and figure out what he said to her.
If they left it quiet, they would have had, like, a lost in translation moment where people were going to talk about it forever.
Like, what did he say to her?
Yeah.
And I think it was a total misstep, too, with the way they set up the Amazons at the beginning. It felt like it was supposed to impress us, so when they show back up later, we would be rooting for them, you know what I mean?
It was another wasted resource that they had in this movie. They focused on weird stuff, to me, a little bit.
It kind of also made it seem like Wonder Woman was literally the only decent human being among the Amazons. If they're all supposed to protect the world, why is she the only one doing it?
Yeah.
And then, like, they could have shown up at the very end. They're like, you're right, we should be helping protect the world because it's what we're supposed to do. And
I also do want to, like, when we were talking about her leaving the island with him, that was, I thought they were going in a really good direction with Steve Pine.
Steve Pine.
The opposite.
See, right? There we go.
With Chris Pine, respecting her space and, like, trying to sleep, and one doesn't presume.
But she's just beautiful. Like, why are you being so dumb?
And the whole, boys aren't necessary on our island and everything like that. That was handled really well. And I think where Captain America was more successful is that they never sealed the deal. Mm-hmm. And here it's just like, you guys have literally been together for like a week. And it's the first dude you met. You know what I mean? You haven't even, like, tried to meet other people. You're too busy. I mean, really the man you want is Ares. That's all you talk about.
That's all she talks about. And then she finds out he's her brother, and then the deal's off.
The deal's killed. Or he kills. He dies, I guess, if you can kill a god. And that's a big thing I don't like, too. Apparently he killed all the other gods, so there's no gods in DC now. It's just why? That could be something cool you could do later. Like, why take something off the shelf forever?
Maybe they're just in hiding.
Maybe. That would be something cool if, like, she went and freed them from Tartarus. Like, there's so much with mythology that they could do. Why?
Which would explain why he would have Zeus's powers. Maybe he has him locked into some machine somewhere.
See, that would be cool. We walked out of the movie and we felt like we could write a better Wonder Woman movie in like 5 minutes.
Which is really sad.
And Patty Jenkins, I don't want to take any like she directed I thought a well-paced movie.
It's not her fault.
No, it's basically it's the same DC problem. The script wasn't there. She tried as much as she could to do what she could with that film, and it's I could not imagine anyone else trying to do this.
And the hype was an issue. Like, I do think that this is by far the best DCEU movie, and that's why people are very excited about it. But it really hurt the movie to have every single person tell me, like, it's really good, it's really good.
It's the best.
Because the expectations were so high.
It's better than this, it's better than this, and it's like, I don't see how that's... No.
I think it's just
better than Logan, and I'm like, I want to know.
I think at the end of the day, part of the reason there are a lot of people loving this movie, not everyone, of course, some people legitimately feel that way about this, but I think there are some people that are jumping on bandwagon with this movie because it's like seeing a ray of sunshine through the clouds.
Yes.
Well,
and it's just, you're suddenly like, oh my god, the rain's ending. This is fantastic. This is the best ray of sunshine ever.
Yeah.
And people also make an argument that it's they have finally a female role model now in movies, and I think a better ray of sunshine is Rey from Star Wars.
Hey,
so it's like
Moana.
Moana's another great one. I don't think they need Moana. They did not need a love interest. Steve could have been just a platonic relationship would have been so refreshing.
Yep. All right, so now we've come to the portion of this very special episode of BFF where we very specially rate this movie. I believe we all are going to rate it. We typically do out of 10. You've seen the show. So would you guys... What?
Oh, no.
Would you guys like to start?
Okay, so I tried to do this really fair. I went and I wrote everything out that I could. I wrote about music, I did plot, I did acts, I did the actors, and there's a lot of really good fine points in there. But I think I had one low score, and that was just pretty much like the overall message. And I think it just really missed the mark for what Wonder Woman, I think. And I don't know if I have a right to say this because I'm a dude, but like empowerment for women, that's what I always have seen her for. Like when I think like who's the
Rosie the Riveter.
That's who I think Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? So I think she's like this symbol for just equality and just empowerment, and I just think they totally missed the mark on that. So overall, it came out to a 6 out of 10 for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm not terribly far from that, but it's like I did enjoy this movie, so 6 feels a little harsh, but it did have problems for me, and I really, really wanted it to be better. Like I wanted it to be a better movie than this. I don't think this is a movie I'm gonna want to watch again very much. Other than Dr. Poison, who's probably raising the score up for me a little bit. Too. I would cosplay Dr. Poison. She's that dope. But yeah, so I'm gonna land at a solid 7 for this movie.
Alright, I'm a little lower than you guys because I felt literally no emotion when I watched the movie. But I do recognize the things that they attempted to do, but maybe didn't work so well for me. And it wasn't an awful piece of refuse like some other superhero movies that I have seen. So I'm just gonna give it a solid 5. Like it's okay.
It was a film.
It was a film. It was a film.
It's directly in the middle, feeling nothing.
Yes.
I wanted to give it a 5, but I was just like, I can't be mean.
I'm gonna go with a 7. And I feel like I wanted to rate it lower and higher at different points.
Yeah.
The lower for me is because this movie is good. Like it's a good movie. If we had gotten this 15 years ago, this would have been a phenomenal comic book movie. And I'm not even just saying Marvel, like just in comparison with everything we've gotten movie-wise, the genre film style has stepped up their game in general. But where we're at when we've had literally like 3 DC movies that have been, even if I've enjoyed them, absolute disappointments, this is a step higher than those, but a step is more than we need. Like they are trying to sprint out of the gate, but they're sprinting out of the gate with a broken leg.
Yeah.
And it's not working for them. And we need more. If they want to try and like shove this movie at us really quickly, and they want to give us Justice League really quickly and another Batman film really quickly and all this stuff really quickly, and they want to have spin-off movies and everything else, then we need them to step their game up, and that's upsetting. I also wanted to rate it higher because there were points where I was legitimately entertained, and I loved parts of this movie, but I felt like it was bookended with not great parts of this movie. Like it was like fun, meh. Fun,
Yeah.
fun. But that was our very special episode of BFF. Do we else have anything else to add?
I don't have anything. What about y'all?
No.
Okay, so where can we find you other than in your lovely apartment?
Well, please don't come here ever again, Joe and Ashley. No, I'm kidding.
The address is in the comments below. So.
Oh my
But
gosh.
you can find us at don't do that. oddshapechannel.com or on YouTube at oddshapechannel. Subscribe, comment, and like their stuff on the tough stuff as well as our stuff on the tough stuff. I know that's super vague, but if you know what tough is, it's the channel we're all on.
There will be links.
There will be links.
And where can we find you on the Twitter sphere or other social media locations? Yeah,
of course. You can also find the Odd Shape Panel page on Twitter at OddShapePanel, and I am at KimberBatch_OSP on Twitter, and Tattoos by Kimber on Instagram.
And of course, you can find me at Drake Masters on Twitter.
And you can find me at @_Mrs. Davis.
And thank you for joining us for this very special episode. Thank you for joining us for this very special episode.
Thank you for coming to New York.
It was a lot of fun. So now we have to go make a 2-hour car trip to our 5-hour flight home.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fun time.
It's been a long weekend.
It has.
But the first thing they'll do when they get back is check in with you and let you know how it went.
No, we'll sleep.
Will you text me at least to let you know?
I'll text you when wheels are down, Tom.
Thanks, buddy.
And Mavis was so good, like seriously, like she jumped on your lap once, but she didn't even have to leave because she didn't talk.
She is way more behaved than the rest of our cats.
Yeah, I was expecting, we would have some more feline shenanigans, so I guess we're just gonna have to use this as the outtake.